Okay, 107 days out from the meet, trying to dodge shit with a tripod right now, but I will admit that I am dragging a little bit of ass today, but I heard something, I forget where I heard it, that really does apply to training, and that is the biggest myth with motivation is that motivation precedes action. Because it's like you will not always feel motivated to train. You're going to have these sessions where you walk in the gym just like, I am freaking tired. And if you let that win and don't find a way to start building momentum, you're not going to have a very good day. And these days where I do walk in feeling like this, at this stage in my career, they're some of my favorite training sessions simply because if I start taking action, start moving, go into it with the mindset that I'm going to do my best to feel better as I go, they usually end up being some of the most satisfying sessions to go through. So we're gonna start going through it.
And if you're new to the channel, this is me documenting everything that is and will be necessary to go from a complete pec rupture and repair in 2023 all the way to reaching my goal of hitting the biggest total in Canadian history. We started out coming back from that pec tear in under 9 months to hit a all-time PR total, then moved on to dropping over 100 pounds of body weight in order to start building back better, which is what we are working on right now. Not a whole lot of this has been fun or easy, but my hope is that by sharing the process, you're going to be able to learn something that will make you a better lifter.
Today is my secondary press day, RE bench, upper hypertrophy stuff, so we're jamming on the silly Camber bar again for first movement slot. Don't have the luxury of running the combo rack again this week because Tyler and Darrell are running the straight bar, so I gotta suck it up and use the low bench and awkward unrack height of the power rack, but we'll be more than okay. But remembering that the last time I ran this over here, the whip in this bar is so extreme with the bumper plates that we're not gonna be lazy and get the calibrateds out. What I'm thinking for loading here today is, after watching the tape back last week, realized that I was not getting as deep with the camber bar as I would have loved. So I think we're going to keep it a little bit lighter just for the sake of being able to control that bottom end a little bit better and then get the most out of the stretchy stretch bar. Plus I'm hoping it makes the awkward rack height situation a little bit less detrimental. Took a couple reps, but got the touch. And we're taking small jump for next one. If we get adequately deep for this guy, we'll take another small jump for the set after. So, goal for this one is see if we can squeeze into another touch without it feeling too sketchy. So much freaking harder than last week, but we're not short that range of motion. What I'm thinking is, because the goal of this slot is range of motion access and tissue tolerance, we will keep it there for the sake of not actually ripping the pecs off. Because not every movement that we do needs to be pushed heavy, and that's what the next two slots are for, so we'll keep this chill for the sake of that range of motion and tissue feely good stuff. happy with that one, so we'll strip the bar down, swap bars, and run that overhead. And obviously the best part about rebounding from the diet and putting some weight back on quite rapidly is that I'm starting to feel a little bit strong again. The worst part is the conditioning aspect and having to fight to feel like I'm in shape so freaking hard right now. But the second worst part is range of motion is freaking cratering almost hard as conditioning is, but it feels like right now I cannot stretch enough to still feel flexible. So I'm glad we made the call on running the cambered press a little bit lighter so we could get that stretchy stretch in. But the goal of the overhead press is to build some strength base to carry into bench press. So we're gonna crank into some 8s here today. And I mean, we gotta do a better job waking up, but we're at least good for 185. And obviously we want to go up, but with how I'm feeling, we gotta earn that jump. So we're gonna try to wake up a little bit more for this one. And like, it's not gonna happen on its own. You gotta kind of work for it. And I think the best way to work for it is to remember that the shit's supposed to be fun. Yeah, we're gonna go 225 for what's probably gonna be a last warm up, which means goal here is to continue waking up, continue having fun, and smack this so we can take another jump. Yeah, we earned that next jump. And considering we went 245 last week for 10s, thinking we'll go 265 for the 8s. And we're feeling awake for this one, so let's crank. A little bit harder than I wanted it to be, but considering how I'm feeling, I am very okay with this. And triceps don't feel as poppy as they did last week on these, but it makes sense with the harder push on the boards, harder push of the JMs, bench loading ramping up on our primary press day. And the thing is, with being a meet prep, it's like priority is going to be on driving the bench up. So I'm okay if this day does take a little bit of a hit. So we're gonna move on and do our best with some dumbbell presses, because the goal of today's session is to support that main bench. So like, I want it to be as good as possible, but I also don't want to be forcing it so it impedes what we're able to do on the Monday. And like right now with meet prep just starting to ramp up, with me being so not strong for so long, like it's to be expected that the fatigue's going to bleed a little bit, and the goal will be to be less impacted by that fatigue bleed as the prep continues to ramp up and I get in better shape for being strong again. So I'll shut up and do this feeler set. And these guys being less relatively tricepy than the high incline overhead feels more normal, so we'll go 120s for the next feeler. And the official plan for this movement slot will depend on how this set goes, so we'll do our best to put some sauce on it. We're going up. And now that we know we're going up, the new plan will depend on how the next set goes, so grabbing 140s. Once again, gonna do our best to put some sauce on it here. and felt okay, but I think wise choice for circumstances. Going to be taking this one again versus going up.
Good there.
Yep. Sick.
And the entire reason why I started Team Activated was when I was doing one-on-one injury rehab consultations for lifters who got hurt during training, it made me realize how much most powerlifting coaching kind of sucks. So my entire goal with the team was to solve all the coaching problems that I saw while making sure that the cost was accessible for every lifter on earth, which is why when you sign up for the team, you're going to be able to get daily individualized coaching directly from me on every single thing that we're doing, so we can make sure that you understand why I'm asking you to do what I am, plus ensure that the training is set up to get the most out of your technique, leverages, and weak points so you can make better progress. Plus, we have solid frameworks on everything we do built around injury risk management, and if something does go sideways, we know exactly what to do about that. So if you are sick of shitty powerlifting coaching and want to be the best lifter you can be, hit link below, join the team, because it is awesome.
And because we were a little bit irresponsible there, we're starting at 70s in the rollings. Definitely could go up off of that, but we're limiting ourselves to 1 point being proven per training session right now. Just kidding, 105s. Yeah, I'm okay with that call. And now time for some pumpier tricep loading. Get the good feels on this prime spreader. And it's like with any sort of long handle, if you're doing it elbows packed in, leverage fall off at the top of the motion sucks. But if you push the elbows out, let the hands come in, you get really gnarly leverage, I guess at the top or bottom, whatever you want to call this position, and feels really nice. So we'll crank. So round two, digging into that pump. And the other benefit too of this positioning is like spreading at the bottom changes the angle of the handles relative to hands, so we get like a little bit of tension fall off at the bottom, but not that much, so makes the strength curve nice. Yeah, and don't worry, I did not forget about the timed push-up base building protocol, but because I want to make it a little bit nastier on range of motion today versus the stability aspect that the chaos push-ups provided, we're gonna go on the yoga blocks for a little deficit push-up. So let's start the timer up and crank. We might be doing a lot of rounds because that is a little bit easier than the chaos push-ups, which I wasn't entirely expecting. It's in the prep peaking.
Okay, because I was
Yeah,
looking
I
at
got
set
3 seconds, I gotta go.
Okay.
Okay, see, dude. Set 2 got significantly harder than set 1, so maybe we won't be in too much trouble being here for half an hour. I forgot how good these feel. Let's catch it up. Hopefully we could stick out one more. Round 4. Like I'm trying to rest at the bottom, but it's not helping. Okay, I guess that's it. Got stuck talking for way too long, so thankfully the pull down that I want to use is open, and we'll keep her light again, keep her squeezy in the bottom, so we can keep getting that big lat contraction that I want to dial in here so I can better replicate it when I'm setting my upper back on squats. Probably should like make the handles higher, but time constrained, so we'll sacrifice a little bit of range at the top. And I swear this is physically as low I can pull, which means I probably should work on this, but I mean, we're kind of working on it right here. Gonna take time to adjust it now. Like, everyone always comments that I'm really short. I swear, I'm not actually that short. Forgot to press record, but you guys didn't see that because I didn't press record. So, for all you know, round 2, we're cranking. I only did 1 rep before I looked at the camera and saw the light wasn't on, so we'll be fine. Yeah. The only downside of this machine is having to take the plates on and off. At least all the Panada stuff is really heavy, so it doesn't need a lot of plates to make it hard enough. And then for upper back part 1, we got a challenging lighting situation over here again, but we've also got this ridiculously long rope, so we're gonna crank some base pulls. I forgot to look what was on the stack, it's far too heavy. But as usual, round, extend, round, extend, make sure we're packing that head like we want it to be when we're running squats. And round 2 here, and like where I'm trying to feel it is, imagine like there's a line straight through my chest to my back, like right through the bottom of my sternum. Like I'm trying to pull to that spot in my back to make sure I'm getting that scapular depression, make sure I'm touching thoracic erectors, and like obviously still getting some rear delt, still getting some rotator cuff, still getting some rhomboid, but trying to pull that spot because that's where I want to center the tension under the squat bar, as well as when I'm setting my upper back on bench. And that was good enough. And all of the pec decks are being used right now. So let's see if we can make this guy work. Getting over and running single arm. This is workable. It's like when I'm running it bilateral, like my shoulders are wider than the pivot, and then it just like rolls up and gets stuck in my triceps. But single arm, trying to line it up. Gotta get more over this way. Oh, why isn't lefty working as well? I nailed the position on righty. Okay, we got it. Yeah, this is actually really nice when I set up appropriately for the piece of equipment. I don't know if you guys remember the first time we used this, but we tried it, gave up on it because it, well, felt unusable with two arms. So very glad that we figured out that the single arm works because no one's ever using this thing. So like, I'd prefer the reverse pec deck, but if this can be a good option, we'll run it. And like, execution probably looks terrible, but I mean, it feels very rear delty, so I'm not going to complain. Yeah, rear delt definitely be a touch there, so we'll run another. And I think like my only complaint about this is the reason I want to run the reverse pec decks is like I want it to be really hard on that initial spread. This thing is pretty light at the bottom and ramps up aggressively towards the top, so it's like not ideal for where I want to touch in the range of motion, but pressure here probably isn't the worst thing either with how hard it's getting at the top. I don't know, it's weird, but the rear delt pump is immense. Adequate for rear delt number 2 today. And the sun is setting, which is a good thing because lighting over here doesn't suck anymore, but it's a bad thing because it is really getting late. Like, it's almost like past my bedtime. It'll be past my bedtime by the time I get home. Actually, I'm gonna be aggressive, go 60 kilos today, but I promise I'm gonna do bicep curls at home on, probably I'll run incline curls, then I'll run some cable curls on the cable tower still have in the basement. But we're skipping arms just for the sake of being able to get home, get food in, get to bed. So cable hip flexors, and I mean the bench is over there, but I don't want to take the time to set it up, so we'll just run her on the floor. Floor felt good last week, so. And then the awkward part is getting down to the floor without dying. Okay, that worked. Gotta get the bench over. There we go. Now I'm anchored. Hat's falling off. This is a process. And that felt good enough that I think we'll go up for the second. I am too fat. Getting on and off the floor is very difficult right now. AJ was curious, so he's gonna watch this set, which makes me kind of regret putting 70 kilos on here, but I mean, we need to make the hip flexors stronger. They're not gonna do it themselves. The setup is the most awkward part. And it's like just leverage to get your ass on the floor. Let it go. Like, I'm probably not pulling high enough, but it's heavy, so glad we pushed her. Because, like, if a smaller accessory is really lagging behind, I'm okay with kind of bullying it, having sloppy execution on final set in order to get your head wrapped around the heavier loading. Because if we can do that, we should be able to do better with almost as heavy loading the next time we try it. But for how I walked in the gym today, pretty freaking happy with how the session turned out. And like, as I went on, found some motivation, and we brought it and we did well enough to get the job done and roll into next week. And like, yeah, the triceps were a little bit cookered on the overhead, but I know why. Like, we're pushing triceps hard on the main bench day because we need to push triceps hard on the main bench day. And as the triceps are getting in shape, like, I should expect that it won't feel perfect with that harder push on the first day of the week. And for right now, like, obviously I want them to feel good on this day. I want to be able to be extra assertive on the overhead, but the reality is, and the hardest part about coming back from the diet and being so weak and ramping the food up and suddenly feeling strong again, is that it's been so long since I've pushed big weights that I just need to let myself get back in shape to push big weights. And if that means there's a little bit more fatigue bleed in the short term, I got to be okay with it, because I need to push through it in order to get the shit back in shape so we can crank. And it is going to be a little bit of an annoying process. Like, it's not fun to have the overhead feel that not poppy, but I think I managed loading well. I think I did the right amount of work. Rolling dumbbells, you know, even if it isn't strong yet, they felt at least decent. And dumbbell presses being less tricepy, like, pecs feel strong, pecs feel solid. So I don't think I can complain too much. And then we got good work on everything else, and that is the name of the game. And right now it's just having to go through it, having to put the effort in, having to be okay with some things feeling heavier than I want it to, because it's going to feel heavier than I want it to until we do get back in shape. And when we get back in shape, it'll, you know, be more manageable and we'll figure it out. But it's like such a learning process, because like, I've come back from so many injuries where, you know, there was one lift that I couldn't train hard, but with this diet and how far it went and how lean I got, like, every lift being that cratered and having to bring every lift back simultaneously, it's a little bit of a new experience. And as much as it isn't fun, figuring it out is going to be fun when we do figure it out. So all we got to do is keep figuring it out. So thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out. Have a good night, and I will see you in the team.